Hello everyone, what's up? It's me again, Youngmaster3, and I know it's been a while since I made a video. The previous one that I uploaded was the Halloween, a ranking of the Halloween movies, and that was like recorded like way back, but I decided to upload it just during this time of the year, so yeah, if you get what I mean. Now, I must also say that there's gonna be like top 5 of the month later on in this week or so, where I count up the best movies that I've watched during October. And now you might wonder what are you talking about in this video. Well, I am going to talk a little bit about the movies that I watched during October, or the Horrorthon, where I only watched horror movies. So this is just like a big list of all the movies that I've watched, and I must also say that I didn't bother by picking them all out from the collection, because there were about 42 titles, and that would be just too much just to put out from the shelves. So I'm just going to count them up and yeah, talk a little bit about them, not too much about them. So since it is 42 titles, so yeah, let's begin. At Day 1 I watched I Never Left the White Room, directed by some guy who was involved with the August Underground movies. Very weird film. I didn't really know what to think about it, so yeah. And at Day 2, note also that sometimes I did watch more movies at one day, so it doesn't have to be one movie for one day. I mean, I could still watch like 3 movies in one day, so yeah, whatever. At day 2 I watched Burial Ground, or Burial Grounds. I think that was like a zombie movie from the early 80s, with a very creepy looking Dario Argento kid in it. I think most of you who have seen this know what I'm talking about, so yeah, really entertaining movie. And at Day 3 I actually watched, 3 movies. And the first one I watched was Fade to Black, sort of a slasher in a way, in a weird kind of way. I wouldn't say it's a straight up forward slasher, but it has slasher elements to it. Real entertaining as well. I think it's somewhat underrated, so yeah, if you ever come across it, pick it up. And this movie is from 1980, so yeah, if you know what movie I'm talking about, so yeah. And then I watched Blair Witch Project. Of course, I'm not going to say anything else about that movie. And I also did watch Blair Witch 2. And in the late of September, I actually watched the newer Blair Witch movie, just called Blair Witch, which I thought I would make a review of, but I've just been too lazy to do it, so I promise I will do that. And at Day 4 I watched Ring 2, the original Ring 2, not the American Ring 2. I think this is called Ringu 2. It was okay, nothing too spectacular in my opinion, so yeah. And at Day 5 I watched 2 movies. The first one was, now let's see what it's called in English. I think it's called Off Balance in English. It's directed by Dario Argento, and I think the premise for this movie was really entertaining. It's about a man who's like getting older and older for each month. Like, he really ages. He's aging very fast, if that makes sense, or if I'm saying this right, but whatever. Those of you who have seen it know what I'm talking about. So yeah, Off Balance. And then I also watched The Brain, which was directed by the same guy who did Bloody Birthday. Now this movie has been a movie that I've been out for the hunt for ages, and I finally found it like a couple of months ago, and damn, I really enjoyed it. It was cheesy, entertaining, 80s fun, so yeah, The Brain. And at Day 6 I watched, for the very first time actually, In the Mouth of Madness by John Carpenter. I'm not going to say anything else about it because I think it's quite well known, so yeah. And Day 7 I watched the trashy full moon movie called Creepozoids with Linnea Quigley. And at Day 8 I watched The Murder Secret, Italian giallo type thing. Wasn't my cup of tea in my opinion, or it wasn't my cup of tea, so to say. And at day 9 I watched 2 movies. For the first one I watched was a movie called Massacre or Massacro or whatever. It's directed by the same guy who did Burial Grounds. This was released 1989 if anyone want to look it up, so yeah. And then I also watched, on the same day I watched the original Stepfather. Damn, I love that movie, I'm not going to say anything else. And at day 10 I watched 2 movies. Love Object, which was one of my friends actually told me to check it out because he thought I might enjoy it, and I really enjoyed it, so yeah, Love Object. And I also watched Saw 2. For some reason I picked Saw 2, but Saw 2 is one of the better sequels in my opinion. And then at day 11 I watched 2 movies. The first one was A Blade in the Dark by Lamberto Bava. Also like a slasher giallo type thing. Was a little bit disappointed. I think it was way too long, or it almost ran for like 2 hours, so yeah. Now I just realized I have to speed up because I'm not even halfway through. Sublime is a movie I watched as well from 2007. Was so-so. And at day 12 I watched an awesome movie called Amsterdam, a Dutch horror movie or slasher movie from the 80s. And then I watched, at day 13 I watched Jack's Back with James Spader. And at day 14 I watched Storm Warning. I have not seen that movie in a while. And then I watched, this is day 15 by the way, Dead Heat from the 80s. And for the first time at day 16 I watched Salem Slot. And I also watched The Reaping the same day. And The Reaping was a piece of shit in my opinion. Day 17, Evil Dead, the original. Day 18 I watched Serial Killing for Dummies. Really interesting premise, even though for a low budget movie it was entertaining. It's also known as Serial Killing 101. And yeah, the same day I also watched The Clown Murders from 1976 with John Candy. Piece of shit in my opinion. And then I watched the awesome movie at day 19 I watched Deathgasm. And at day 20 I watched Salem Slot, Return to Salem Slot. Not as good as the first one, but still okay. I think it's a little bit underrated. And at day 21 I watched The Reef. Damn, also another really cool movie which I've seen before. And at day 22 I watched 2 movies. The first one was Ticks, really interesting killer bug movie. And I also watched The House Where Evil Dwells. It was quite boring, to be honest. And then at day 23 I watched Pet Sematary 2. And at day 24 I watched 28 Days Later. And at day 34 I watched 2 movies. The first one was Jaws 2. Watched that for the first time, really underrated sequel in my opinion. And I also watched a movie called Roar, which is going to be included in my next update video. So yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit more about it right there. And then at day 26 I watched Jaws 3 or Jaws 3D. That was a piece of shit, so I can barely imagine how the part 4 is going to be. And at day 27 I watched Thanksgiving. Stupid, silly, entertaining fun. And at day 28 I watched 2 horror movies. Yeah, of course horror movies, what I'm talking about. Fright Night, the original, awesome vampire movie, and the Hills of Ice remake, another really great movie which I've said before. And at day 29 I watched Flesh for Frankenstein, which was sort of a letdown for me. And at day 30 I watched The Toxic Avenger Part 2. I actually did enjoy that more than Part 1, to be honest, so yeah. And at day 31 I watched the original Halloween, so yeah, there you have it. If this video was quite boring, that was just because I was just too lazy to put out all the movies in front of me. That would just be too... I would probably just talk way too much than I should, and I have done that by now as well. So I'm going to end this video right now, so keep your eyes open for the next video. So hope everyone enjoyed and didn't get bored, and I hope to see you again as soon as possible. So see you next time. Bye bye.